Would take a whole, I'm
I
sorry.
don't even know how many people are running.
I'd like to call this meeting to order, Tuesday, November 17th, 2015. This is a regular meeting, but the reorganization meeting for the board. If you would please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing, and Reverend Eddie Stith from First Assembly of God will be here to lead us in prayer. Welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. Can we pray? Father, today we just come humbling ourselves before you. Father, I just pray over this board and this staff for our schools in this county, God. I pray that you would just organize it how you seem fit. Father, I pray your blessing over their family, God, and over their extended family. I pray your blessing over the faculty and staff at every campus in this county, God. I pray that 2015 and 2016 school year will be the best that we've ever had in this county. And Father, today we just trust in you with all our heart and lean not on our own understanding, as your scripture says. We just ask today, Holy Spirit, that you lead, guide, and direct this meeting. Let your kingdom come and let your will be done today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Reverend Stiff, we appreciate your being with us today. Thank you very much. Florida Statute 1001.371 directs that the superintendent shall act as the chairperson until the reorganization is complete. At this time, I'm going to open the floor for nominations for chairperson.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I nominate David Buckles for chair.
I second that nomination.
Okay. Do we have any other nominations at this time? All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, like sign. All right, carries 5-0.
Buckles.
Are you,
All right, and at this time, I'll open the floor for nominations for vice chair.
Madam Chairperson, I would like to nominate James as vice chair.
I second.
Wait,
Now it's time for
Piece of
discussion.
cake,
do
piece
you
of
think
cake.
I'm ready for that?
I third it, Charlie, if that's okay.
You have a year and you'll get some shots.
Piece of cake.
You're gonna do good.
I'm
I
fixing
already
to,
feel sick to my stomach.
You're gonna do great.
FSBA
I'm
with me.
fixing to give her some quick experience.
Oh, but I don't,
God bless.
does that mean he's my mentor?
No,
wouldn't do that to
we
you.
won't do that to you.
We love you. We love you, Jamie. We'll do
It's
that.
going to be more extraordinary than that. Go ahead and let's vote here.
Okay.
Seriously, all of us, we'll help you. We're a team.
Okay.
We'll help you.
Do I have any other motions? All right, I have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. That carries 5-0. All right, we have a chair and a vice chair. Congratulations to Mr. Buckles and Ms. Crawford.
I mean, that came out of the blue.
And at this time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to the chairperson, Mr. Buckles.
As you're doing that, Madam Superintendent, I just want to thank Ms. Jorgensen for her service this past year.
Absolutely.
She has, many of you don't know, she has pushed through some pretty serious health issues and has continued to lead and discharge her responsibilities very well. And I admire Kathy on many fronts, and I just want to say thank you so much, Kathy. You got enough cushion. Buckles.
And your coffee cup.
Yeah, that's what?
You can have that trash.
That's water.
What a,
Water.
Oh, name tags.
Name tags. The first thing I would like to say is that I certainly appreciate the opportunity to serve as the chairman. I have had a bug here lately, an intestinal bug, let's call it that. And I would like to, at this time, turn the gavel over to Ms. Crawford.
no,
And
uh-uh.
myself excused.
David, no. Please don't.
You don't want that?
No.
I wanted to see how she did.
I'm about to faint anyway,
Okay,
don't
never
be.
mind, I'll try to hang in here.
If not,
Superintendent assured me I could
not
legally
either one of
do
us
that.
three can do it in a temporary manner.
Yes, you could, but we need to move on and decide the meeting dates and times,
Okay.
Mr. Chairperson.
Kill him.
All right.
Do we, Mr. Chair, do we have,
Shows up dead on my phone.
I would move that they stay the same, Mr. Chair. I think this has worked well for the board. It's responsive to folks coming and being here, and of course, whenever there's emergencies, we can always adjust that, if needs be. for
May I
others.
ask a question? Was the attendance any better when y'all had them at not later? No?
And it was, matter of fact, it
tried.
seemed to be
I
worse.
kn-
And we held them for years in the various ends of the county,
Right.
and that never worked. It just, nobody attended there, so,
Yeah, but you can't get worse when nobody comes.
that's right. You can't-
And we can change, as you will know, Ms. Carver, we can, if there's an emergency or there's something of high interest, we can adjust them anytime.
Right, and, I just wondered, because you hear every once in a while, if y'all have the meetings later, the teachers could come and the parents could come, and I didn't,
They just,
The only time they come is if they have something that's a
Something-
real issue to them
Right.
personally.
Okay.
And we've tried for years to hold it in different areas of the county, hold it at night, hold it at different
Nothing
times of the
works.
day. And basically what you see is what we get no matter what we've done.
it's kind of like.
Other
holding
school
parent
boards have
meetings at-
tried the same and have had the same results.
Good question.
All right, we have a motion to keep the, the meeting dates and times, in a likewise fashion as we have in the past year. Do I have any other motions to that effect? Do I have a second to that?
A second.
Have a motion from Mr. Wright, a second from Ms. Jorgensen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. All right, moving on, we need to appoint a board member to serve as a board's representative on the Small School District Council. I'll hear a motion on that.
I would just like to say, I was that person last year, and I had a little bit of trouble. I was able to attend some of the meetings, but my job at the college interfered. I don't mind doing it again, but I just wanted y'all to keep that in
When are the
mind.
meetings?
They seem to be on Wednesday mornings.
See, that wouldn't work for me either.
Well, and I've done the representative too. I try to go, I mean, I don't mind doing it, and it's the Northeast Coalition, that's
Right.
something. But going to Tampa, and we're always invited
Right,
to
and
all
I've been
that.
to those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't mind doing it, and I go quarterly or whenever it works out, because it is.
I think it's quarterly.
Do
Yeah.
we need to vote on that? I guess we do, don't we?
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I nominate Nikki Cummings.
Second?
Second from Ms. Jorgensen and a nomination from Mr. Wright. All in favor, say aye.
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 Chair votes aye. Now we need to do the appointment of a board member to serve as the representative on the Interlochen Planning Commission.
No, the superintendent appoints staff.
Mistake, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that, that's my fault. We had taken that off because you had asked, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That
staff
should
members
really not
appointed.
You did really good by leaving it on till I could,
Harassment.
I would have rather seen Jane get messed up with that. All right.
You've already messed me
Item
up.
6, appointment of board member to serve as the board representative on the District Insurance Committee.
Get used to it.
Yeah,
I
I-
nominate Nikki.
Got a nomination for Nikki Cummings,
I'll second.
second from Ms. Crawford. Any discussion? No discussion, hearing none. I will call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Chair votes aye. All right, moving on to public hearing approval.
Wait a minute, what about that, I'm sorry, that one Terry's
The
on?
VAB, yeah, that's, we
Value
would,
adjustment board.
value adjustment board, yeah, we'll do that. That
Oh,
comes
that's
up-
later?
Yeah,
Okay.
that'll come up later,
You
right.
thought Pam
And then
forgot that?
also, legislative rep will come up a little later. All those,
You did your legislative
Oh,
rep,
for-
remember they
yes.
changed their dates?
oh, they did?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot
They
that.
asked you to go ahead and decide on that.
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
And that's David, right?
And I'm the alternate, yes, so,
I wanna,
yeah. And I also serve on the, Florida School Board Association Legislative Committee, which is different.
Oh.
So I
Okay.
serve on the committee for
That's
the
good.
School Board Association, so that's a
Ms.
little.
Jorgensen
Sounds
would
good
like
to me.
say something.
I'm wondering if I could be appointed to serve on the expulsion committee, to represent the board
Oh, that'd be
on
great
the
with me.
expulsion
That'd be
committee
beautiful.
hearings. And if need be, pull the item and give my 2 cents to the rest of the board.
I don't know that we can do it since we don't have it advertised on here,
It's
but,
not on here. We can do it.
but I
Well, let's
think,
put it on there.
I think we can have Pam put it on there for it.
So it would be that he would be the constant member?
Right, just like Nikki goes to all the insurance.
We would need an
Yeah.
alternate, Pam, I would imagine, wouldn't we,
We would
Kathy? We
probably
would need an
Yeah.
alternate in
Right.
case you couldn't.
Right, and I would just find somebody.
Okay.
Okay,
You know, I'd just call one of
Yeah.
yous and ask you to cover.
okay.
Okay, just put it down and we'll bring it back to us at a different meeting.
It's fine with me.
All right, public hearing, approval of amendment to policy, number 9270, home education programs.
Do you have to ask us any comments from?
Are there any comments from the public? Any comments from the board? I have no written request to speak up here. Did you, Ms. Jorgensen, have any?
No.
So, I'll need a motion on this.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I move that we approve amendment to policy number 9270, home education programs.
I have a motion
I'll
Second.
and a second from
Nikki.
Ms. Cummings. Any discussion? All right, having no discussion, I'll call for vote. All in favor say aye,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Now, under public comment guide, I have no,
There is one card.
Um,
Ms. Jorgensen hid it from me,
Yep. On purpose,
Ms. Crawford too.
sorry.
All right, I have a principal reassignment comment from Mr. Booker T. Knowles from 331 Putnam County Boulevard, East Palatka, Florida, 32137.
I know what it's gonna be.
If you would come up
Waiting.
into the microphone, Mr. Knowles.
Pam.
I don't know that it'll be that. You have 3 minutes.
Yeah, I read that. Good afternoon. My name is Booker T. Knowles, and I'm at 331 Putnam County Boulevard. My last name is spelled Knowles. I was awakened early this morning about the reassignment of assistant principal at Palatka High School, and people thought that it was an unjust reassignment. And I don't know exactly what happened because I don't come to board members and I'm not try to stay out of politics. But what I was told is that the principal at Brown and Pierce had been relieved of her assignment there and given the choice to go to QI Roberts or here for some job. And suddenly they transferred Mrs. Brown to QI Roberts and brought her in to take Mrs. Brown's place at Palatka High, and I was just wondering what's the board's official reasoning and behind the reassignment and all that.
The board is not privy to that information.
Mr. Knowles, I think Ms. Jorgensen wanted to speak first, and then I'll
No,
address
that's
it.
fine.
You
No,
wanna
let
go
him-
ahead? Go ahead.
No, I just,
The board, by legislation, we have 2 jobs, and that's to take care of the taxpayers' money and to set policy. By law, we have no place in job hiring, firing, moving around. The only thing we do is we say how many teachers and how many custodians, because that's spending money, and how much they're gonna make, because that's spending money. But as far as the people involved, that's all the superintendent.
Oh, it's, can I get a comment from you on the subject?
Probably a meeting with her would be better. I'm sure
You'd
she
need
could
to
arrange a meeting.
schedule to come in and see.
Well, I know I signed
A
up to say.
personnel issue, and it's not appropriate for me to discuss issues that concern people. Certainly, if it was a relative of yours, you wouldn't want me talking about them in an open meeting, and I
Okay.
prefer not to do that. When we make decisions, it is a team effort. We sit and talk about, first of all, what's best for our children in our schools, what's best for the school as a whole, and lastly, what's best for the adults. The adults serve here in this school district for the children, and sometimes we have to make tough decisions about what's best for those children, and that's what we've done in this case. And I appreciate your coming in and
I signed up
speaking.
to say one thing, but I something that's been bothering me for a while, and I told my wife, and all that, I would come down here and ask this question, which may sound ridiculous again. Do I have permission to go ahead and address one?
Yes,
Yeah.
you do. 'Cause
Okay,
I always-
thank you.
I always did what your wife told me to.
Okay, my concern is, we pay taxes to educate our students in school. And since the time I saw that you were buying this building and spending these millions of dollars in this building, and I think about my children in school who participate in athletics and have to buy the uniforms and buy this and buy that, there's a constant drain on the parents for the students to participate in high school athletics. And my question, I know it may sound ridiculous, how can we spend $2 million on the building and can't help our students buy athletic equipment?
Mr. Knowles, the reason for that is our money from the state comes to us in categories. We are required to spend our dollars in those categories. The money spent on this building was capital outlay dollars. We are not allowed to spend that money on salaries or uniforms or anything other than construction, renovation, purchase of property, buses, and computers. Those dollars can only be spent in that way. And then we chose to vacate a 100-year-old building that had issues, particularly could not handle our technology, to upgrade to a building that not only helped us in the school district to provide better for what we need for our children, but also it added to downtown Palatka and made it look a little less like a dying city. So we kind of did a couple of things by doing that here.
Took a commercial building off the tax roll also.
Well, it did that, and I'm sorry about that, but the building had sat here about 5 years
I realize
empty,
that.
and it looks
I've
much
been
better
in these-
now
I've
than
been
it
in
did
Palatka.
empty.
But my question is still about the
Those dollars can't be spent in any other way.
Why do parents and grandparents have to go to do all the fundraising and buy the uniforms, everything for my granddaughters participating in softball. My grandson is the quarterback for the high school football team now, and it's always something on the parents or the grandparents. I mean, why do we pay?
Athletics is extracurricular, and the state does not
but
provide money for
athletics
those.
is a part of educating our children.
Yes, sir, but the state doesn't provide money for that. And if
Well,
you
I'm
go
just-
anywhere in the state or anywhere in the country, you find that the parents have to pay, and actually up north, it's much more expensive.
Let's get back to what we started on.
Okay.
That, you stay there, 'cause I appreciate all the work you've done with fire departments and stuff over the years, and your family's been involved with me since your kids were little in elementary school, and I appreciate.
Yeah, my baby daughter told me make sure I vote for you when you first.
That's okay.
And she's a school teacher now, by the way, also not
The
here.
lady that you're talking about that was transferred is one of my former students, and her mother worked for me and was just a wonderful lady, Miss Pansy. And, I regret that she has been lost to the young people that she served at Palatka High, and hope she'll gain more expertise that'll develop her into a top-notch principal in the near future. So I didn't find out until right before the meeting that she had been moved, but that wouldn't be my purview anyway. We don't find out until somebody calls us and tells us.
Okay, I didn't know. Like I said, I don't
But
come.
thank you for coming
But
in.
I was also told, I did some researching on it since I found out this morning, that's a sort of taking them out there to QI Roberts, sort of putting them out of sight and out of the way so they don't be here in the public to maybe
That was
raise
quite-
questions about what.
That is
No,
absolutely
that's
not true.
That's
Oh,
not
no,
true.
sir.
I know that.
White has a comment.
Ms. Knowles, I enjoyed watching your grandson.
Grandson.
Yeah, my son's the kicker.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So I enjoyed being at all the games.
We
this
call
year.
his grandson Wide Right.
Yeah. Wait a minute now.
No.
I'm a Florida State football fan, so I know how that wide.
Yeah, me too.
That's exactly right. But really, sort of on the contrary, the school at QI is a college preparatory school.
Right, I
It's a
realize
mag
that.
school. So really, the contrary to that would be true as far as attention. But I understand how that could be perceived because of geographics. So
Yeah, no, I mean, put people out there who don't want to drive, give them farther to drive and hope they
I
get
can tell you,
disgruntled
I'm
and all that.
I'm surprised she hasn't called me and told me about it, but
Well, I think she just found out yesterday.
I thank you for speaking on her behalf, and I'm sure we'll hear from many more people.
I was hoping somebody would be here, but it wouldn't have done any good anyway. Like I said, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you, Ms. Knowles.
Good to see you. All right, do we have any more public comments? Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Anyone have an item that they want to pull from the consent agenda?
I had I-1.
Cummings wants I-1 pulled,
And I'd like, just for typo reason, E2.
E2.
There's a typo.
Well, we can't have minutes from the board meeting on 11/20,
Okay,
since it's 11/17.
all right. So,
Good.
minus E2
E2 and I.
and I-1.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I move we accept the consent agenda minus E2 and I1.
I have
Second.
a motion and a second from Nikki Cummings. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. All right, let's go to E2 to begin with.
Attached to the agenda was just minutes from the board workshop on 11/3. There can't be minutes on 11/20, obviously, it's only 11/17 now. I think perhaps yesterday's were supposed to be there, but there's only one thing attached, so we can only approve the minutes from the board workshop on 11.
I think that should have said regular minutes from 11/3. Yeah, we
Oh, I
had
see.
a workshop and a regular board meeting.
Okay.
On 11/3.
Yeah.
That's what I saw.
That is attached, is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, unless they're both in one file, okay, then they're both in one.
They're not both in one file, you just have to look in a different place where there's not a PDF of the regular minutes for the regular meeting. It's a different place on the item to look for those minutes.
It's set up so that if you just had one set of minutes that you were gonna approve, in that, the way board docs looks, you could hit minutes and it takes you right to the minutes from that meeting.
Oh,
But if
okay.
we have more than one set, we have to do a PDF. But if that's confusing, Sharon had been doing all
Oh,
of the
I see.
PDFs.
Oh,
That's,
This
yeah.
time we thought,
Up
well,
here.
we'll leave it the way it's set up to be, but
Yeah, I
that
see
might
it.
be confusing, especially for people that don't use it. I know y'all do, but I'm talking about.
Right.
And it was confusing for me.
I see it, yeah.
But
So,
we're correct, it was 11/3.
yes, it was 11/3, both.
Any
Miss-
more comment on E2?
I make a motion that we approve consent agenda item E2 with the typo correction of the date.
I'll second it.
Have a second from Ms. Crawford. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. I will move on to item
Aye.
I-1.
Yeah, I emailed Ms. Buckles about this. I know that, we always do a Title I. I get it as a parent, as teachers and kids, they all have these, surveys. So that's what I was kind of, when I saw this, it looked a little different. And I was just curious what it was and then what we're doing with the data and if it is possible for the board to get a copy, because it sounds like a pretty intensive survey, so.
Absolutely. First of all, I'm going to speak to the reason why, and then Laura and Ashley McCool, who's had experience with this particular survey, will come up and tell you about it. And I brought the law with me, and I know y'all probably don't want to get into all of that, but in NCLB, every year, Title I is charged with monitoring, if you will, and work papers. And there are multiple sections in the monitoring work papers where I have to prove that parents, staff, community, teachers, everybody's had the opportunity to have some say-so about how we run the whole system. Everything from the LEA plan that has to be written, the district improvement plan, each school improvement plan, the district parent involvement plan, and each school parent involvement plan uses these surveys and the data that they get from these surveys to create their plans and thereby comply with the law and keep us in compliance with federal programs in Tallahassee and keep that money coming in from Title I. So that's the purpose. And like I said, I've got all the law here if anybody wants to look at it, and I actually tabbed it. So We can go, I can give you item by item where we use it. But with that being said, Laura, if you and Ashley will come up and explain, in the past, my office has created
Yeah,
the surveys.
that's
We've gone out and conducted them and gotten the results. This is something I believe the Bureau of School Improvement has,
So this will replace your survey.
yes, it would be redundant to do them
I
both.
was
And are
gonna
we
say-
paying for this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's, I was just curious, because I thought having parents do two and not getting, you know, the data back that we need, I thought, gosh, I didn't want to do two different.
It would be too much data.
Yeah,
to do
okay,
two.
good. So that's replacing it, okay.
I don't know how to turn
So is it a paper form,
No,
every,
it is completely computer-based. You actually signed this contract last year with Mosley. It was offered as part of their SIG grant. So actually, Ashley's school does have an example of what data you do get back. It's called the 5 E's. It's out of the University of Chicago. It deals with effective teachers, effective leaders, collaborative teachers, involved families, supportive environment, and ambitious instruction. It directly relates to our school improvement plan, and Ashley was going to share with you guys the data that she got back so you could have a chance to look at it.
but you're saying that parents have to do it online?
It
So
has to be
parents
done
that don't
online.
have computers will
Parents
not do
that can't, they can come in, they can do it from the school. I will tell you, we did not actually do the parent portion with Mosley last year because the time frame in which BSI gave us the opportunity to complete it was like within like the last 4 weeks of school. We did not think we would be able to have the opportunity to get the percentage of parents in. I will tell you, we did the school improvement, the advanced ed had to be done on computers through parents, and we got the number necessary to move forward with advanced ed. So I don't know that that would really be as much of a problem. Every school got the number they needed through advanced ed.
But my thing would be the clouded glasses on the results, because the students who don't have parents, or have parents that are never home, or have one.
Well, I would
you
say
know.
that they still don't, there is a limited number that comes back by paper also.
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
good.
I will tell you, we don't get them all back. So, but I'll let Ashley talk through your folder.
So I wanted to just give you an overview of how we used it. Excuse me. As Laura said, we used it as part of our SIG grant last year. So we weren't really sure what we were going to get from it. We had been to a few trainings. In your packet, I just gave you a little overview on the front sheet of kind of our purpose. Always, survey data is perception and belief data. So it's never really, you know, it's soft data, it's not hard data, but it did give us some survey data that's based in substantiated research. So if you take a look, also in your packet is an article from the University of Illinois, or not the University, yeah, the Illinois State Board of Education, how they've used it in Illinois, because they've done it statewide there, and how the questions were designed around thousands of schools that were researched. If this was a successful school, this is how people at that school answer these survey questions, and this is what their data looks like. So they compiled research-based questions, and honestly, we did it at the same time we were doing a lot of other surveys. Our teachers found it pretty simple to answer. We did it with all of our 4th and 5th grade students, so that's the lowest age you go to for that. We didn't do it with parents, as Laura said, because of the time, but I will be doing it with my parents this year. Typically, when we've not had problems with parents getting online to do portal, we get about the same response even at my school as we would if we ask them to turn it in paper pencil. Typically, most of them have internet access, or we can provide labs for them. We can also do it during a parent night and provide a place for them to come in and just catch parents as they come in, because we have quite a few in and out of our building all of the time. So I wanted you to take a look at the actual, this document here. It says full report. This isn't the full report, so you're getting the first 2 sections of that report. If you skip to the 3rd page, you see an overview. This is how my school performed. So those 5 areas are in color on the top right. We are considered organized to be effective in school improvement, and we scored high in the areas of ambitious instruction and effective leaders. We scored neutral in the areas of collaborative teachers and supportive environment, and we scored weak in the area of involved families. So the questions that we were given last year around involved families were questions asked of our teachers and students related to how their families are involved at our school. I would wanted to show you how clearly the school improvement plan in the state of Florida right now is an online document that gives us targets that we can set. Those targets already are aligned to these 5 areas. So when we went to write our school improvement plan, when I saw the benefit of this was I actually had perception survey data that was gave me clear targets. So if you take a look at, go to page 12 in the full report I gave you. This page 12 begins the data questions around the survey questions around collaborative teachers. We scored in the neutral area. There are 4 areas within that and questions asked. They are collective responsibility, quality professional development, school commitment, and teacher-to-teacher trust. The interesting thing about these questions, when reviewing them, different than when we've created our own questions, because we're not researchers and we don't get paid to create great questions, to be completely honest, is they ask teachers, how do teachers at your school feel about this? It was all around, it kind of took it off of them. So when you're answering questions in a survey, you sometimes feel like defensive. You're scared to put things. The way they word these questions were such that it was more, how do you perceive your staff to feel about student growth? When students fail, everyone cares. Those kinds of questions. So I felt very good about the data we got because I felt like teachers were very honest. They seemed to like the questions as well. Yes. Do you have a question?
Yeah.
Hey.
So the questions were more opinion-based. How do you feel? What do you think? What perception?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we do with any survey. Right. I mean, you want to know, what are people doing in the school, and then how is it perceived? Because perception is reality, no matter what organization you're working with. So I just felt like for the first time we had some questions that were really strong questions, things I would have never thought of asking. If you take a look, for instance, on page 12, so we scored in the neutral area. If you look pages 13, 14, and 15, you can see specifically how my teachers scored. So I know exactly how many answered the questions and how they scored. So, for instance, it says teachers report that other teachers in this school feel responsible to help each other do their best. So that's on page 14 at the top. So it's how do other teachers do? So the idea is that it's not so much what are you doing, but what is a school? What does the culture of our school say about how students do and how we help each other? And so you can see how they score in those areas, and all that is pulled together to give you an overall score. So our score for collaborative teachers was a 46. And I want you to pull the next document in the folder under my school improvement goals. I pulled out a few pages of the school improvement goals so you could see how it correlates.
Wow.
So this is just you know what those SIP plans look like. So this is just page 20 are our main 3 goals. If you look at page 21, one of our targets under my goal, our main goal at our school for a couple of years has been if all stakeholders communicate a unified vision and model a sense of community, then student achievement will improve. Well, teachers being collaborative falls under that goal for me, and as a team, we chose that. So I actually was able to drop down in the SIP plan, and the 5 E's areas are within the school improvement plan. So I was able to set a target. Last year, we scored a 46. My target this year is to move from weak out of the weak area, and our score will be 60. So we've done a lot of things, our action plan throughout the year for this year around giving teachers more autonomy in their professional development. We've gone to more teacher-led PLCs. We're doing a lot of cultural things at our school that I now have some substantial data to back up. So when we do our survey in the spring, hopefully we'll see an increase. In the past, we've not had real data to connect to those kind of school culture pieces. Yes.
Can I get a copy of those questions?
Yes. I can email you all the questions, so I have them. They're available on the 5E's website as well.
Let me just tell you, this is great.
Yeah, and you can, and I can, and I'll be glad, I'll email you guys the full report so you can see every question. The only piece you're not gonna see is that teacher piece, that parent piece, because we didn't do it last year. So we're gonna do that in the spring of this year. I just felt like for the money that I thought it was a pretty low cost for the amount of data we've been able to do with this. And we've always used Title I surveys. And I use them, I'll look at the comments and I'll look at things and I share them with my staff. But this was, not only do you get an executive summary, which is a brief report that you can share with families. You get the full report, and I put that on my front sheet. And you also get an interactive report, and it was very timely. So I don't know, Laura, when did we? Yeah, I mean, so probably just within a few weeks, the data came back to us, so we were able to go right to using it. And I could share it with teachers. So for not really knowing what we were doing, ended up being a huge benefit for us with our school improvement plan.
And you're the only school that used it this
We
year?
did, because we were trying it out, and we were able to purchase it as part of the DA team and what our work with the SIG grant. The state's initiative is pushing these 5 E's. I mean, the research is very clear that if you are strong in 3 of those 5 areas, your school is ready for improvement. And so you can look at those 5 areas and then pick, what are we going to focus on this year? We were close in collaborative teaching, so that's where we're pushing. So we're green in 2 of ours. I want to be green in 3. And then obviously our weak area has to improve, which is our families, and parent support and things like that. So that's something we always work on. But it did sort of, it validated some of the work we had been doing that we didn't really have in, it's not part of the school grade, but it is a lot of work we've done to improve school culture. So it gave us some real data behind, to back that up. And I think that was helpful for our school as well.
So for this amount, this can be used in each school?
Yes, right?
The amount that you're choosing, and Ashley's gonna actually present to the principals at the next principals meeting. So if you like your folder, keep your folder. If you don't want your folder, give it back. It'll be less she has to copy for the principal.
I can
Well,
copy
now
it. You
it
guys can
says
keep
in
it.
the contract, it says each one unit is equivalent to 1 school, so 1,700 per school.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's
So
the
the-
max price.
yeah,
We
that-
had to put that's what, we had to tell how many schools would be, participating, and then the state is making a contract with the University of Chicago to see if they can drop that price.
So is this gonna take over, so if Title I's using it, all the schools will do it, right? Or no?
Yes, I would,
Not all
well,
Well,
what are you
Oh.
doing?
We did not choose E.H. Miller, they do not have a
They don't
large
get
enough.
Title
Whoa.
Oh,
Yeah,
but no,
yeah.
but all the other, I mean, high schools, middle schools, okay, perfect.
And you can keep those folders, but she's gonna present it to
Right, I
principals
mean, there's
in
no
two
reason for-
weeks, and I'd rather her not have to.
And I will email you guys the questions and then our full report. And if you're ever interested in taking a look at the online report, I can
Yeah,
share
'cause
that
it
with you
says-
as well. The interactive report, I mean, it's pretty nice. You can click on each question, and when we did that as a staff, I could present it, as to our staff and show them that way. Yes.
Right, and it says when the reports are available, there's, access available, so it says that we can, I'd like to have, make sure that board has a.
Do we need to come see you or Laura?
You can come see me, or call me. I'll be glad to I don't mind giving out my information. It's the same thing you're seeing here. It's just more interactive, and you can see what, how.
Who's gonna be the administrator of the whole survey? Is it Deborah or Laura?
It'll go directly to the schools.
So each principal will be the.
Right.
Title I will be we will be the responsible funding
Okay.
resource.
It was pretty seamless. I
And
mean,
so
they.
We'll also get those results.
Yeah, 'cause it just says that-
VIDAC and
If you want access, so I'd hope that, I'd like to have the board members if we can log in
Sure.
too, which would be
Yeah,
great,
and I
'cause
would
it's
think you
very
could,
helpful.
maybe get district reports and
Yeah,
things like
yeah,
that.
it says that.
I've
So
worked with a couple schools on strategic plans and stuff, and I will tell you, this is a great,
This is awesome.
this is great.
Yeah.
This is a great piece.
Yeah, I felt like, we've used it all year. I mean, like when we have issues going on, we'll go back and
Right.
dig through questions. I mean, there's a lot we can do with this.
And I appreciate the fact that you guys tested it out first, because I've talked to the IT department a little bit here and there. It's like, oh, this great software, but nobody's tried it out. So this is awesome. I'm so
It
glad
was,
that we did a
I
pilot.
didn't have one teacher complain. They just generate it by email.
Yeah,
It's
that's
anonymous like any of the other surveys we do,
Which
so.
is actually what you're approving, is
Ashley, I'll come
the
by and
data
see you.
sharing.
Okay,
That the state of Florida will send the data to the University of Chicago so that it will populate, that's actually what you have to approve.
Okay.
It's not really the cost so much as
because
that
it doesn't exceed that
doesn't
limit.
hit the threshold.
I gotcha.
But it's the fact that we
The
have to
agreement.
share data.
Right. I see.
All right, board, if there are no more questions,
I make a motion to approve I-1.
I second.
we have a motion and a second to approve I-1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. All right, into emergency session. And we have an item here. It is the United Healthcare Billing and Collection Agreement, justification, explanation, time sensitive.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I move that we approve the United Healthcare Billing and Collection Agreement.
I'll second for discussion purposes.
We have a second for discussion purposes by Ms. Jorgensen.
Do we have anybody here from, is Danny or Travis here? Wow.
Nobody.
Tammy's here.
It says page 1 of 4. I'm not sure what this is for. It may be disability. It's not the first page, obviously. It's about 7, 8 pages in. It's a form filled out, and it's handwritten filled out. And down in the left, are we changing hours per week to be eligible from 30 to 20 for our employees?
No, ma'am, we've always been 20 hours.
Okay, so that was just an error, and okay, that's good. And is this disability or is this health insurance?
health insurance that we voted on yesterday.
And 20 hours they can get it? That's wonderful. Okay, and then, I'm sorry, David. I know. I think there's just a typo because the schools are all listed, and like the charter schools are crossed out, and E.H. Miller is crossed out. And E.H. Miller is listed again on the last page and not crossed out.
Right, because I think they had it listed too many times.
Right.
The schools that are crossed out are like Putman Edge, Putman Academy,
Right, the
those are
3
not.
charter schools and then E.H. Miller.
But
Yeah.
E.H. Miller's listed again,
But
right?
it's listed again and
Yeah.
not crossed out on the last page if you want to just,
Well,
That's because it's covered.
now,
you follow what I'm saying? We crossed it out in one place, why
It
would
was
we?
just listed twice
It
accidentally.
was, yeah.
So they
listed
crossed it out
twice.
once.
Right.
Yeah.
It was listed twice
But
accidentally.
we're signing some kind, this is part of an agreement or something, so if we're not supposed to be providing,
Somebody crossed it
Healthcare
out.
to-
It looks like. by
E.H. Miller is part of our school district, so they should not be crossed out.
okay.
But the charter schools are crossed out because
They're not
they're
part
not
of,
part, they're not part of the district plan.
correct.
Fair enough. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Any more discussion?
Nope.
All right, we have a motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Chair votes aye. All right, that takes us out of an emergency session, back into regular session. And, old business, discussion, input, and action on Putnam County Education Foundation. Ms. Criswell, who will speak to that?
Well, I think we had a wonderful presentation by Mr. Douglas, our board attorney. And based on the information that he gave you, I think you were to look at that and determine what direction we wanted to go. Certainly you realize the direction I want to go is to have our own. I really don't choose to do something with the chamber. They can give their dollars to St. John's River State College, which is wonderful, but that means less dollars for us. And I would prefer to do our own. I know that Ms. Cummings has been very active in working towards some workshops and meetings and attending and understanding and learning and the match we can get from the state if we have our foundation, and also looking at potential board members who would also be people who would raise dollars for the foundation. So there's been a lot of kind of behind the scenes work that she's done on the foundation and that we have worked on together, and but it's really your choice. You can let the chamber do a foundation, which they can do anyway without us. Theirs in the past, I think, has been mostly for scholarships. We're looking at being able to supplement some requests from the schools for things that either the tax dollars we receive are not allowed to be spent on, or say playground equipment, which is very expensive and they never have quite enough money to cover it. So there would be an application form developed to give to the schools, and then the board for the foundation would receive those and would approve or deny those with input from the board representative and myself. The superintendent and the board has a representative on that board. We would be non-voting members, but we could give them input or answer questions.
So at this time, we need to it says input and action, give input as to whether we want to do our own foundation and then take action or action later.
Well, I need to say something. I had lunch with Jim Paget the other day, and he told, first of all, I know that the chamber has a functioning foundation for 20 years. They have one, and they get matching funds. And Jim told me he looked into it, and only one agency per county can get matching funds. So he said maybe
somewhere
there's
else,
a
too.
way to
His presentation.
kind of bring us together so that the money we raise has its own board and stays with the school district. But I think we have to look into that. Maybe Charlie, you could get involved at this point.
We haven't had a foundation for several years, but the matching funds from the state did not go to the Chamber's
still-
foundation.
I
So I don't
actually-
know
yeah.
where that,
We heard that in somebody's presentation.
I know, it was, okay, CFEF is it's a state-funded, consortium.
Right.
And that organization, even though we don't have a foundation, we can use the 501c3 through NEFAC. And so the past 2 years, I wrote the grant and got the money for the matching grant from the CFEF, because if we didn't get it, it goes back to the other districts, because we were the registered person, so I'm not sure, I know the chamber didn't get it for the last 2 years, I don't know about for that.
Okay.
But as far as moving forward with the foundation, at this point, if the board votes for a 501c3 and Douglas and Hedstrom has agreed to perform that application, that lengthy application, then that would be the first step, and then the board can later decide, if you remember the workshop, the DSO or non-DSO,
Right.
that's where but to move forward with a 501c3 is there's so many things. Oh, do you have a 501c3? No. Actually, I got a call from the realtors from Duval, so we're supposed to get money from the realtors, and they want to do the whole North Florida. So I said, well, you'll have to send it to our free, and then it'll come sit in free NEFAC's money, 501c3, because we don't have it established. So there's things that come, like, I can't even explain the amount of things that can be applied for when you're a 501c3.
But I think, Nikki, what I understood anyway from Jim was that it's matching dollars for what you raise. If you raise $60,000, they match this
Only-
isn't a grant.
No, okay, well what Jim, because we went to the same conference, and it was again with Rocco, and I know Rocco wanted to be here, he had a presentation to show us, because he spent a ton of time working with this and talking to St. Johns County Foundation. That one, you can only get 24,000. You could raise 100,000, but you're only gonna get 24,000. There's a limit based upon your population. So the CFEF, the state matching funds, is a limit of 22,400. I mean, it was a specific amount. So any internal money, the fundraiser, so that's what I was able to do for classroom resources. Schools that had PTO money and book fair money and anything else, they could collaborate and say, we want to use this for classroom resources. We've raised 1,000, so then the matching would be 1,000. They got 2,000. So that's been established but we, basically, to move forward, we really need our own foundation, the Education Foundation, and it's a process that CFEF, we're already members of that. We pay our yearly dues of $750, the school board pays it, and that's why we are able to get that matching grant.
Through NEFAC.
Well, they're our fiscal agent. They are our 501c3, so when I got.
Until we get our own.
Correct. So basically, the checks, like I got checks from different schools that had internal money, they wrote it to free.
And like we're NEFAC's fiscal aid.
I know.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, they have
Funny
their.
how it works, but
But
I'm in
it's-
favor of our own foundation.
Well,
too.
it's a 501c3. They have their own 501c3 that represents all 12 counties that they represent.
So it's not
So
NEFAC, it's that 501c3.
Nassau used it, yeah, Nassau used it, it's called, FREE, and several districts, we actually copied whatever Nassau, Gilchrist, when they didn't have their own foundation, they used it also.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I'd also just remind everyone too, the matching funds is a great program and a great option that the foundation will pursue. But there's also other grants all across the country that are not matching, but that can come directly to us. So this is just
This is a drop in the bucket.
this is just
Yeah.
this is really just a win-win-win-win-win, and so
I just feel at this point, we have to start the process, and I appreciate the chairman always saying, okay, keep it on old business. We can't let this go back, because we've talked about it. We have to get this foundation reestablished to move forward. There's just,
I would like to make a motion that the board direct our attorney to begin the process for a 501c3.
And I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And a big aye from the chairman.
but that's the kind of stuff that comes in, and if we have the foundation to work with these people, that's something that they constantly keep the information, and
We've got it now. Mr. Douglas gonna fix it for you.
I know he is. That's
Okay,
good.
so let's move along.
Yeah, he is.
When she was a student in school, we had to do that to her all the time.
I don't recall having to do that to her.
We have this,
Thank you.
any new business? Having no new business, I'll go to board member reports, and I'll start with, Ms. Crawford.
All righty. I had the opportunity, when was that? Is Renee in here? Was it last week or week before? Oh, it was so wonderful. We had some of our middle school FFA students practicing their creed, and I'm telling you, we've got the best kids in Putnam County. They are adorable, and they worked so hard, and they're just so excited about FFA and all that represents. So I was very excited to be a part of that. And I also want to do a little advertisement for Palatka High School's musical theater department and their presentation of Elf Jr., the musical. A small group of them came to Kiwanis today and performed several of the songs from it. Y'all, it is just precious. So I hope everyone will have the opportunity to go see this and tell all your friends and family and share it on Facebook, and let's get tickets sold to that because it is adorable and it's all about Christmas.
I'm excited about that. My kids are like, can we go?
Ms. Cummings?
I'm allowed to speak now?
You're allowed to speak.
I'm excited about the new chairman because I don't have to sit by him, so.
and that is sincere.
Oh, I need
That is
that-
a sincere
I need
report.
that picture of she and I together.
Yeah, so we are getting ready for our big conference that we go to next month, that we learn a lot of great things. Thank you so much for the taxpayers sending us. I appreciate that because it's a very informative. I mean, our brains are like overwhelmed with all the information we get. We have a mandatory ethics, so we make sure we're in the correct sunshine law and everything else, so that's a good thing too. And I'm just excited. Yeah, well, we'll try on that. So we just continue to get excited for that and have a safe Thanksgiving holiday. That's all.
Ms. Jorgensen?
Really, all I have to say is thank you to all the insurance committee workers.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yes.
They worked hard
Yes.
and long
Absolutely.
to resolve this issue, and thank you to our attorney and to our broker and everyone involved. I think when majority rules among the committee and then among the board, I think majority rules, there's some kind of, and I can't think of the word, starts with an S, but you get more than individual, right? What is it? Yes, synergy, thank you.
I'd have never come up with that.
Yeah, the older you get, the more words you can't find. But synergy was and I think the committee did that, and I think the board realized that, and it ended up a good thing, I think. So thank you again to all the people that worked on that, committee members and others. I'm through.
Thank you for your service as well. Brother Wright?
Yeah, a couple things very quickly. Sports teams all across the county did a great job. Some good bright spots there. Be watching the paper because students from Interlochen, Palatka, and Crescent City will be going to school and getting their college paid for because of their athletic involvement.
Wow.
That is a good thing, and more than just football, but in many sports. So congratulations to all the teams and the coaches and the parents. It's a lot of hard work, but it's well worth it. Holiday travel's coming on us real fast. We need to be just careful and mindful that our students will be out of school. They will be on the road. They will be playing. They'll be doing all sorts of stuff that kids should be doing, so just watch out for them. I too want to mention ELF coming up. I've got a lot of dear friends. My kids' friends are in it. It's just a whole lot of fun. Veterans Day Parade went very well. Thank you to Palatka High for coming out and playing. Joan McCraney has done just an absolutely outstanding job, and so she is just a great person, and so they've done a great job there. Thanks to the superintendent and others who came out and participated in that. As a veteran, that is this is my second favorite parade of the year. First, of course, is Christmas, right? Then second, of course, is going to be Veterans Day. So all of you came out. Thank you so much for your support. I too want to compliment and say a big thank you to the insurance committee. They worked so hard and put a lot of time and thought and effort. Thank you for your work. And I think it's well said, Ms. Jorgensen, that when you have a committee tasked to do a job, it is right to support them, or don't task them. Right. And so as a board, we gain credibility, I think, and we gain trust when we support the work of committees. So that's just wonderful. Again, a big thank you to Douglas Hedstrom. They've done a great job. I've apologized to Charlie 1,000 times for putting him through all this stuff the last 27 years, it feels like, Charlie. A few months anyway. But they've done a good job, done a great job for us, and appreciate that. And also for Danny, our Age of Records, done a great job in this process, helping us sort it out. So, Mr. Buckles, I'm done.
Now, they told me you were gonna be a leprechaun in the elf thing.
Yeah. As long as I don't sing, I think that was the deal. Because I can't sing.
I think you've covered about everything that you can cover. The insurance committee goes without saying. I think Kathy covered that well, and everyone else. I wish the Knowles family had stayed a little longer to try to grasp. I know, however unhappy the employee they were worried about or concerned about going to another job position is so disconcerting. And if that employee was very comfortable, and I know she was tremendously loved by the students at Palatka High, it is strictly to advance her abilities to promote herself in her profession. And one day she may return as a principal of that school. You never know, but that's how it works. And I've sat where Ms. Criswell sits, and I've had crowded rooms of people telling me what a nut I am for making decisions you make. But sometimes you make the decisions you feel like most benefit the people you work with and your children. And I don't question, because that would not be my purview, but I feel their pain because this is a close friend of the family's, and who wouldn't like her very much. But I think with this training under her belt in another site, I think she'll have all the tools she needs to advance. So, Superintendent, I applaud your moves and the things you've done here lately. It takes a lot of courage to step up and do that. And to Hedstrom and Douglas, I would like to say, I always like to say Hedstrom and Douglas. Thank you for your work on the insurance and keeping the board
Straight.
in the straight and narrow legally with what we faced with Florida Blue. Thank you. Mr. Attorney?
Things are going well in the legal department. We did have quite a bit to work on with the health insurance issue, but again, as the other board members have said, thank you to the insurance committee and all the staff at the district office who helped in a very tight turnaround to do very simple things like make a lot of copies and more complicated things like notices and getting meeting rooms set up, and all of that goes a long way and certainly makes our job easier in the legal department to have the support that is here at the district office. So thank you for all that. And additionally, I wanted to mention that our firm is sponsoring a Thanksgiving food drive that will go and to benefit the weekend food program for the students of needy families here in our district. So we've had a great response so far, and if you have any non-perishable food items that you'd like to bring by, our office is at 601 St. John's Avenue, and we'd be glad to receive any items that you would like to donate. And we will, of course, bring those to Nikki and all of her team with the weekend feeding program. So that's all from this side.
Madam Superintendent.
Thank you. I have just a few things. First of all, thank you to Ms. Jorgensen for your leadership. I think a lot of people don't understand that during a board meeting, it is the board's meeting, and the chairperson leads that meeting. The superintendent is really just the secretary to the board at this time, and so I comment when you ask me, or if I have something that I need to add that I think will help, but otherwise it really is your meeting. And so the chair has a great responsibility, and so I thank you for the job that you've done and appreciate all that you did to work with us. Let me also say that your suggestion about having a full-time attorney, we've been working with Douglas Hedstrom and Cossey, is that correct? Cossey? We have not met Mr. It is a Mr. Cossey? Okay. We'd love to meet Mr. Cossey.
We should have,
Because we have not, now that it is official, but Rocco Balbone is one of your attorneys, and you have graciously allowed him already to be here 2 full days. And we were able to use him particularly for issues that came up that weren't expected, or things that we need to discuss by different departments. And it was really wonderful. And we are working on creating his office so that when he's here, he will have a place that he can do what he needs to do with privacy. And as soon as that's all done, we'll start by showing Ms. Jorgensen, because it was her suggestion, and we appreciate that.
Just one thing, Madam Superintendent, it's important for him to have office too, so he can meet with board members.
Absolutely, yes.
Because we have a lot of questions, so.
Yes, and you need that opportunity in privacy, and we have that all worked out. And if you'd like to come over after the meeting or sometime during the week, and I'll show you what our plan is at this time. I've already, of course, talked at length with Rocco, and he's very happy. So, but he has accommodations until then. So, thank you for that. Yes, it's helped us tremendously. We missed him today, as a matter of fact, because he'd been here 2 days, and it was like, oh, there was some things today we wanted to ask him, but we'll save those for him. The other thing, let's see, several things today. You also approved an MOU with Stuart Marchman, and I think as you start hearing more about this, it's called Tools for Teen Success. They applied for a grant that we helped them. They needed a letter from the superintendent, but it helped them acquire the grant. And what we're going to be able to do for students in secondary schools, middle and high school. We concentrate, of course, on elementary. This will give us some opportunities to work with students that have needs other than academic, looking at drugs, alcohol, depression, just other issues that are of concern, and we notice them in the schools, and we feel like we need to give them some help and give the family some help. So as they proceed with this grant and the hiring of 4 people, 1 for each area of the county to work with the secondary schools in each area, and then someone to oversee the 3 of them, this is going to be really exciting. They were awarded it just last week. So thank you for approving this, and we will have Dr. Buckles, as a matter of fact, it's no relation, but she is Dr. Vicki Buckles at Stuart Marchman.
She is relation.
And she doesn't claim it, so but she'll be here to give us a presentation once they've moved forward with this, but I just wanted you to be aware of that. We also, of course, have ELF coming, which is really exciting, but even more exciting is Mary Poppins in the spring. Yep. Now, it's very expensive to put on. We are once again have been chosen because Mr. Pignato is amazing, and as he was chosen for Les Mis and Titanic and others as a first run in high schools, he's had at least 5 in the past. He has been chosen to do Mary Poppins. They are releasing that for high schools, and he was chosen as one of the first. So we're really excited about that, but it is a very expensive play to put on. So those tickets will be $15 a piece, and that's coming in the spring. And so just be aware and save your money, because we want them to have a full crowd every night for both ELF and for Mary Poppins. And if you'll go to our website, the students in the play did a little drama, little thing that's real cute, a commercial for Elf, and it's really cute, and you can see it there. We have the Putnam County Sheriff's Office and Putnam County School District who support together jointly the Police Athletic League, and they had donations of time and talent and materials from Home Depot, and they have recreated their center in East Palatka, and they are having an open house Thursday at 5:30. So 5:30 to 6:30 if you just want to stop in East Palatka and see what they've done. It is amazing the work that they do with these young men and give them focus and certainly guidance, and it keeps them off the streets and understanding what they need to do to be successful in life, and we're really excited about that. So if you have time, go by Thursday. It's open to the public at 5:30 in East Palatka. In East Palatka at the old Browning Pierce campus, the old cafeteria over there.
This Thursday?
Yes, this Thursday, starting at 5:30. They'll be there for a couple of hours, and if you just want to stop in and see it, it won't take but a few minutes.
Okay.
They'd be very excited to have you there. You'll be able to meet all the young men that are part of that PAL program.
Parade.
Yes, and they walked in the parade in front of the constitutional officers. We invited them to come and walk and to hand out the candy because, of course, the children want candy and they won't let us throw the candy. You have to hand it out, so it's kind of hard to do that from a float. So anyway, and yes, we have Thanksgiving coming up next week, and we hope that everybody will take time to do some family things together and to relax and to just take a break from all the hard work of being a student or a teacher or any employee in our school district, and come back refreshed and ready to work hard for 3 weeks before we're out for our next break in December. And the last thing that I'll say to you, in light of what's happened in Paris, and our hearts, our thoughts, our prayers go out to those families in Paris, and in light of that, we take these things very seriously. And so we have looked here at this building and at our schools, and we are going to be very careful about visitors to any of our facilities, but especially our schools. So at this time, I want to remind board members, staff, students, parents, everybody, when you go into a facility, to any of our buildings, you must sign in. You must sign your name. You must sign the time that you're there, and when you leave, you sign the time that you leave. Because if an incident happened on a school, something simple, smoke, and we have to evacuate, we need to know from that visitor's log who's there and who isn't. So those kinds of things are very important. So we want to make sure that the board is aware that we're just paying very close attention to our school safety and doing what we know is appropriate. And you already have a board policy, 9150, that addresses that and even addresses school board members going to schools and following those same regulations. And particularly if you have a student that you want to remove from the school, that you're leaving early or you're picking up a friend or a relative, that also it's very important that you go by the office, sign that student out so that we have a record of that, because it may at some point become very important. And looking at this policy and trying to make sure our schools and all of our buildings are following this policy, just in light of things that are happening in the world, we just want to be very careful. And that is all I have today. Thank you all very much. I think you have a great reorganizational meeting, and I appreciate all you do for us. I appreciate being your secretary. And let us know, of course, if you want items added to the agenda, because that is our responsibility.
After Terry talking about maybe playing the leprechaun and elf, Scott, I received a call today about the handicap access at the CeeLo Auditorium, so double check on that. It would be the same gentleman that had the complaints last year. I don't know.
We have one on the side of the building already designed for that. There's not one at the front of the building. There is one on the side that meets the requirements. Yes, it's for wheelchairs, and yes. Yes, I think because people don't see it. Yeah, I think because.
Adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Okay.
David, you are rude.